Let me share with you now one of the most common defenses that doctors and their attorneys use in medical malpractice cases. This defense is known as the judgment call defense. You bring a lawsuit against the doctor claiming that they did something wrong, and the doctor turns around and says, hey, don't blame me. It was my medical judgment to treat this patient this way. I had a number of options available, and the option I chose was to do this procedure. Don't blame me because the patient suffered a complication or a bad outcome. You think that's a good, valid defense? By show of hands, how many of you think that that's a good, valid, reasonable defense? Raise your hand. How many of you think it's full of baloney? Okay. I will tell you that in virtually every single one of the cases we bring, that is one of the most common defenses. And it's a great defense for the doctor. You know why? Who better than the doctor to know what the problems were? Who better to see what the options were in the course of surgery? Who better to decide what the right treatment was for the patient than the doctor who's been seeing the patient for a period of time? So the doctor always comes into court and says, hey, don't blame me. This was a judgment call in my considered medical opinion, and I've been doing this for 25 years. Guess what? This was appropriate. And you know what? Juries like that. They like to hear that a doctor was exercising his or her best judgment. And there is an instruction in the law that the judge gives to the jury at the end of the case, which says, if you believe that the doctor was exercising his best medical judgment, then you are to find on behalf of the doctor. That is a killer defense. Now, you should know that simply because somebody comes to you and tells you about a complication or a problem that occurred as a result of a surgery or treatment, that in and of itself does not necessarily mean that there is wrongdoing. And our clients are very, very upset to learn this when we tell it to them. Mrs. Jones, just because you had this complication doesn't mean that there was wrongdoing. What do you mean? I walked into the hospital fine on my own 2 feet. Something must have happened because I came out of the hospital in a wheelchair, paralyzed. And remember again, they will focus primarily on the fact that they are now disabled. And they will be able to tell you very clearly what they think was done wrong. But being able to connect that with the injuries is a different matter. So now you have to try and ascertain what it is that caused this person's problem, because just remember, every single procedure, every treatment has a risk associated with it. There are risks, benefits, and alternatives to everything that's done in medicine. Which brings us to the question of, okay, did the doctor have a discussion with you about the risks of surgery? And here's what the usual response is, especially for clients who are not that savvy. The doctor didn't tell me anything. And I say, wait a second, Mrs. Jones. Don't tell me the doctor didn't say anything. He told you something, right? He told you needed the surgery, correct? Yes. Okay, what did he tell you about the risks of the surgery? Oh, he didn't tell me about any risks. Did he tell you about bleeding? Oh, yeah, he told me that. Did he tell you you could suffer infection? Yes. Did he tell you that you could suffer an injury to an adjacent organ during the surgical procedure? He may have. Okay, so when they say, no, the doctor didn't tell me anything, you know from doing this a long time or just common sense, that's not really the case. The issue will become whether the doctor told them everything they needed to in order to make an educated decision about whether or not this treatment was right for them. Because if you think about it, what is lack of informed consent? That means that the doctor has failed to give the patient sufficient information so they can make an educated decision about whether or not this surgery or this treatment is right for them. And so we spend a good deal of time asking the patient, what risks did the doctor tell you about? What benefits did he tell you you would have from this surgery? What alternatives did he offer to you?